Hello, everybody, and welcome to All Blaze No Glory, the podcast. On this edition, I'm joined by John McMillan. I know him through Forrester rugby fame. However, recently he's been doing a bit of dipping, I suppose is the right word, with the Edinburgh Blueballs, and I wanted to find out more about that experience and the benefits or otherwise of that. You may think it's a bit mad to go into the cold water, but I have to confess that I'm now very interested in the experience myself, and will look to partake later on. Anyway, it was a privilege to speak to John about this. He was so open and honest and insightful, and I really hope that you get as much out of this as I did recording it. So, hello everybody, and welcome to All Blaze No Glory, the podcast. The first returning guest to the podcast, although it was more on the YouTube scene back then. John McMillan, how you doing, John?
Yeah, doing well, thanks. Rich, yourself?
I'm doing very well. I'm treble booked myself tonight, but I like a challenge. In terms of yourself, how's the rugby season going? Before we get into what we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, the rugby season's going well, thanks. We've just started the league a few weeks ago. Just because the way that the fixtures have fell, we've only had a couple of games so far, but we won the first game quite well, and then the second game we didn't do so well, so a few learning points from that. But yeah, we've got a few new guys kind of coming into place with the coaching setup and some new players as well, so it's looking like it's going to be an exciting season ahead, as it always is.
Great stuff. Just before we go on a little bit further, I follow Bury Muir and all that kind of thing. Were you surprised and somewhat proud to see a young Paul Bogg named on their bench in the recent Super 6 game?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I know Bogg personally as well, and he's always been a cracking player, and he's kind of always stood out, and he's really committed to when he starts playing. And I mean, it's no surprise that he's made it to where he has, and I think he's been selected for almost every game of the Bears this season, which is brilliant to see. But there's a few guys that were involved as well. So Murray Johnson, he started off at Forrester. He's involved with the Bears as well. And Chris Anderson, he was involved last season with them as well. So Forrester certainly know how to sort of start them off when they're young, and then obviously they go and develop themselves, which is brilliant to see. And for a club like Forrester, it's really good to see the guys who've taken that step and taken initiative to try and push themselves and really sort of reap the rewards from it. And it's really great for the club to see that. Brilliant.
Anyway, rugby is not the reason I got you on. This podcast is about mixing it up and talking about different things. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about. I mean, I've been telling everyone it's wild water swimming, but I don't think that's the right definition of it. But a bit about I think it's correctly pronounced as open water swimming, and you're into that yourself. So how did you get involved in that?
Yeah, so I think there's a few different ways of putting it. The way that I sort of look at it is cold water swimming or cold water therapy. So for myself, it was something that I tried kind of a couple of years ago with a friend up in the Pentlands, and we'd had this idea that we were going to go all out. And we bought all the gear, so we had the wetsuits, we had the flotation devices, and we did it once. And my wife was watching, and his fiance, she was at the side with the baby, and we sort of swam a little bit, and we're like, this is brilliant. And then I think just the way of the world and obviously being busy, like we kind of fell out of getting back to it, but it was something that we both really enjoyed. And then for me, sort of, I got into it, about a year ago now, and for me, personally, I've been kind of struggling with my mental health and various sort of factors kind of contributing to it. And just by chance, I stumbled upon, I think it was a Facebook post or an Instagram post, a group called Edinburgh Blueballs. And they were like a men's group who were basically using this as an opportunity to have a meetup for guys to come along and kind of try cold water and use it as an opportunity to kind of speak to one another and that kind of thing. And I'd kind of like seen it and started following the posts and joined the group on Facebook. And it's one of those things where it's sort of good intentions. And then I put it off for kind of like a week or so. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to try this. And I spoke to Jacqueline, my wife, about it. And she was like, yeah, definitely try it. Like, hopefully it's a positive change. And it's something that will kind of get you out of the rut that I was stuck in. And so they meet on Sunday mornings at 9:30. So the first one was at Wardy Bay. So I woke up on Sunday morning and I was like, I don't want to go to this. I think it was just, I was so anxious. I was like, oh, I probably won't get a parking space. I won't do this. And it was all these little excuses I was chucking in, just to basically not to go. And I thought, you know what, right, I'll go along. And if I didn't fancy it, like I can just keep driving and just come back basically. So drove along and saw a couple of guys kind of standing around at the entrance to Wardy. So parked up, sort of gave myself a little pep talk in the car and thought, you're here now, so you might as well do it. So jumped out the car, walked along, and I was just kind of like sort of slowly sort of like trying to catch someone's eye, and straight away a couple of guys looked over and I was just like, morning, the right morning. I was just like, are you guys with the Blueballs? And like, yeah, how's it going? And started chatting away, and a couple of guys introduced themselves straight away, and we had a bit of a chat and just about kind of the most random things. And then we started getting ready for the water, and I was just like, right, well, this is it. Like, there's no going back now. So got myself in, and it's a cold water group, but we don't tend to do much swimming. So we just sort of like walk in and sort of bob around up to our chests, and they sort of removed the sort of the swimming part of it from the name to remove sort of any sort of competition or obligation for guys to go along and feel like they had to kind of go swimming. It was more so as an opportunity to just get in the water, feel the benefits of the water itself and from the group that you're with. So did all that and then came away, and I was just like, I've got such a buzz. Like I felt like a new man. And I went out for lunch with Jacqueline afterwards, and she was like, you're honestly like a different person, because the way I've been feeling, I was like, it wasn't really great to be around. It wasn't great company. Sunday mornings after a rugby game on the Saturday as well, I'm all in bits and pieces, and it takes me about like 4 attempts to actually stand up straight, and just a bit of a moan. And we went out for lunch, and Jacqueline's like, this is unreal. Like, it has such a positive effect on you, and like, you need to actually keep this up.
Excellent. Well, that's a good story. So tell us a bit more about the get up, because I think the last time I saw a post from you, you didn't have a wetsuit on. So what is it? What's the dress code for Edinburgh Blueballs?
So the amazing thing about the group is it welcomes whoever wants to come along. Like, it's primarily a men's group, but we've had some women come along. We've had friends, family, we've had journalists, like you name it, all come along. And the question always is like, what do you wear? What do you wear? So there's no obligation. Like, you wear whatever you feel comfortable in. There's a couple of guys who turned up wearing wetsuits, and if that's how they want to do it, that's how they want to do it basically. But I started off in shorts, and there were a couple of guys in speedos and budgie smugglers and all that kind of stuff. And I was jokingly like, oh yeah, I'll need to get myself a pair. And then kind of as the weeks progressed, I was just like, you know what, I kind of really want a pair. Like, it's that sort of like group mentality of being with one another. And it's for me, like, kind of like struggling with my body confidence over years as well. And this group has had like a massive positive effect on me. And so basically they were saying, oh, we're going to get some custom budgie smugglers made up. Like, who wants an order? And I was just like, you know what, I'll get a pair. And if I never wear them, I never wear them, but I've not missed out basically. And put them on the first time, and I was just like slowly getting undressed, like making sure everybody else had theirs on. I was just like, don't want to be the odd one out. But this huge collective of men standing there almost bearing all, showing the thighs and everything else. And yeah, when you're in the water, it's totally out of your mind. You're just there, you're chatting away, and then you come out and it's like your chest is up. You've got that amazing sort of that buzz from being in the cold water and coming out. And yeah, ever since then I've been converted to the life of budgie smugglers, much to Jacqueline's dismay. Never had a pair before in my life a year ago, and now I've got about 7 or 8, I think, and all various different styles and designs. But yeah, there are guys who wear shorts, who will wear kind of like longer sort of like 3/4 lengths swimsuits, like you name it. It's such a fantastic group to be a part of, because there's no obligation. It's literally whatever you feel comfortable doing, you can do it. And there are some guys who won't stay in for long, or they'll only go up to their waist or whatever they feel sort of comfortable with, and then that's them. And there's nothing like, oh, why are you doing this and why are you doing that? It's literally like, good for you. Like, enjoy it.
Excellent. So just before I ask my next question about the group specifically, are you now viewing yourself as Edinburgh's answer to Faf de Klerk?
Maybe a slightly stretched out version in all directions, if you like, and maybe he's got a slightly better haircut than I do, but yeah, we'll go for that. I think seeing all the, I think it's a rugby thing as well, seeing the guys sort of wearing budgie smugglers, and I've started wearing them during games underneath my shorts as well because they're so comfortable. It's ridiculous. Like I feel like it's like Superman, like I've always got on underneath my shirt and tie at work and all the rest of it like that. So yeah, definitely I think I give him a run for his money.
So yeah, the next thing I was going to ask about the group is what sort of things do you guys chat about when you go in there? I'm not asking for anyone's personal information or anything, just more a kind of what sort of things you guys talk about there.
Yeah, so the group itself is one of the sort of the great things about it is we have like our sort of set meets and dips, if you like, on a Thursday evening, a Sunday morning. We've got a WhatsApp group, we've got Instagram, Facebook, you name it. So there's a dip almost every single day. And obviously people have got various lives and commitments and all the rest of it. So it's never the same people that are at each dip kind of thing, which is, I think it's a brilliant thing because you're constantly talking to someone different or someone new that's come along. And there's been times where I've worked out that we've known each other. Like there's a guy who's originally from down south, and his rugby club came up and played Forrester in a touring game all these years ago, and now he lives in Edinburgh. So, and he knows my brother and various things like that. So you go along, and it's the sort of like the exchanges, like morning, afternoon, all that kind of stuff, and little bits and pieces. And the good thing is you could literally be like, "How was your week?" And you talk about week, you talk about work, you talk about kind of whatever you're feeling kind of comfortable with talking about. It's like standard sort of small talk. So a few times we've had sort of check-ins, or if there's guys who are particularly struggling, what we'll do is we'll say, like, before we get into the water, we'll have a quick chat and then we'll go in. But it's that, again, there's no obligation. If you want to go along and kind of keep yourself to yourself, it's absolutely fine. If you want to go along and sing and shout and all the rest of it, that's encouraged as well. So it's mostly kind of like, it's the hype that's building up. You're walking. We usually always get a picture before we go in as well. So there's a lot of sort of chat about posing and sucking in and breathing in, and guys are like, nah, just be yourself, be comfortable. And there's usually a dog running about. And then when we get into the water, it's like, right, we're here. And it's like, I think everyone makes a joke like, right, that's it, I'm done. But yeah, we all kind of like just walk in together. And once you're in, it's a few guys kind of like will go off and do their own thing. So a couple of guys who will just constantly keep chatting away because they need that distraction. For myself, I take a kind of a minute or so to myself. I kind of like get my shoulders under, close my eyes, and a couple of deep breaths, and kind of think about kind of how I've been and kind of really sort of get in touch. And then I go in, have a chat, and I'll bob around and catch up with different people, and perhaps someone that I've not spoken to in ages or I was having a conversation with previously, I'll go over and have a chat with them. So it's literally like, it could be anything. It's anything from talking about the dogs that run about on the beach to the guys who are maybe having a bit of trouble back in their personal lives or at work, or kind of really different things like that.
Okay. And I confess I've never done this, and I think when I was trying to arrange this, I did say that I was gonna come and give it a go.
You did indeed.
One of the girls in the ice hockey team's been at me to give it a go as well, and I was concerned about harpoons, but she said there's not many in Wardy Bay, so might be okay with that. But what sort of advice would you give to someone who's maybe going into the cold water for the first time?
So I think you need to obviously make sure that you've got plenty of warm clothes to kind of wrap up in afterwards. We say bring like a flask of tea or coffee. Make sure you're not doing it on your own. Make sure that you're somewhere where you kind of know what the surrounding area, what the water's going to be like. So we primarily now meet at Portobello. So obviously it's a beach. It's a safe sort of place to do it. So we always say that just be mindful of kind of like how you are feeling and yourself. I mean, going into the water, it's all about kind of like your breaths and try not to panic and don't kind of like think that you need to run in and do all this kind of stuff. It's literally listening to your own body. Go in and kind of, I always say that it's obviously cold, and I don't think it gets any warmer, no matter kind of what time of year it is. But it's totally, it's great because we're obviously walking as a group, so you're always with someone, and once you dip your shoulders under it, you start to feel a bit better, and you sort of climatize to it straight away. So I'd recommend doing that, and then obviously it's just keeping an eye again on how you're feeling personally, how your body is, and if you're done and you've had enough, then listen to your body and just get out. Don't force yourself to stay in. Don't feel obliged. But just enjoy it and just take it all in. I always say take a minute to yourself and just appreciate the simpleness of what it is, but the huge effect that it can have as well. And then once you're out, get yourself dried and changed sort of in 2 or 3 minutes. Don't hang about. We've got the likes of dry robes and kind of all those sort of things, and towel ponchos just to chuck on yourself, and we always go for like a wee coffee afterwards and a chat. So just make sure you've got someone with you and plenty of warm stuff to put on afterwards.
Cool. That sounds good. And I guess you kind of touched on it a little bit, but what's the main benefits you found from this activity?
So for me, like I mentioned, the struggle with my mental health, and kind of have done for as long as I can remember. And for me personally, I've found the group at a time, like I mentioned, where I was kind of stuck in a rut, and I'm being quite honest about it, but I was approaching an anniversary where I tried to take my own life and was stopped by someone in the street. So I felt like I needed to do something, or I was going to have a complete breakdown. So for me, finding this group and feeling the benefits straight away just kind of really cemented that this needs to be something that I need to kind of stick at and continue with. And I know there's no quick fix for how I feel, or how I felt previously, sorry, but I know that doing this helps, and it's the benefits of being in the water itself, and just like I say, just taking that moment of, it's almost like sort of serenity, and just sort of like taking a moment to kind of look around. And Portobello is a beautiful place to do it. There's a couple of places, been reservoirs, you name it, like some fantastic settings to kind of just to really appreciate where you are. But for me, it's the community of men as well within the Blueballs who are a massive benefit to finding the group itself. And I've met people who I may not necessarily have met hadn't they not joined the group, and some people that I call really close friends now, and we talk every day, and we'll meet up for random dips, or we'll text each other in the morning like, what sort of headspace are you in today? And so it's not only benefited me through kind of looking after my own sort of my mental health, but in social aspects as well. I've gained so many new friends, and it's that collective effort that keeps everyone going. I think we're checking in with one another, and we've got, like I say, the WhatsApp chat, and you can put your phone down and come back 20 minutes later to about 400 messages, and you're like, is this worth looking at? But I think there's so many benefits to it. And for me as well, from a physical aspect, obviously, like I mentioned, playing rugby on a Saturday and training throughout the week, it takes its toll on the body. And I've been playing for as long as I have as well. It definitely takes its toll. So to be able to sort of to dip myself in freezing cold water on a Sunday morning, and it just feels like it helps the muscles and the bones so much more. And it's living off that sort of buzz, that positive energy from having a chat with different folk, and then coming away and being like, I'm now like ready to start my week. I'm not thinking about or dreading work. I'm thinking, right, I've started off well, but a good weekend. This is how we do it.
Cool. That's great. And I think the next thing that needs to be asked is how do people get in touch if they do feel that they want to maybe engage in with the Blueballs?
Yeah, definitely. So we have, like I say, an Instagram page. We've got a Facebook group. There's kind of, if you jump on any of those, you can find all the sort of the links and the details. And the link for the WhatsApp chat is on the pages as well. So I think the hardest one is always the first one, especially if you don't know anyone, and there's a couple of guys who you kind of look a bit lost and a bit sheepish. And I remember thinking, yeah, that was me at the start. So the group is fantastic at looking out for folk, and a lot of the time we get messages saying this will be my first step. I'm quite anxious, and like I'm sort of getting worked up about it, or this is my first one. Where do you meet? And so if we know people are coming, we're like looking out for them, and it's like, oh, you such and such. It's like, yeah, right. Well, I'm Johnny. Nice to meet you, and then we sort of introduce each other and all that kind of stuff. So I think get over the first one and get yourself involved, and you definitely won't regret it. So yeah, Facebook, Instagram, or reach out to myself. It's just one of those things.
Yeah. And one of the other things I've noticed, and I think I actually sent you a message about it, saying that you were looking rather dashing. There's a little bit of merch and things like that on the go as well. Is that sort of something that you come the first time, see if you like it, and then maybe you douse yourself in some goodies? Is that right?
Yeah, everyone loves a bit of stash. I've got the hoodie on right now, actually, but yeah, it's amazing. We've obviously got the kind of the group logo that was designed by one of the guys, and it's really sort of we've all gotten behind it, and we're all proud to wear this badge, if you like. It's one of those things. I wouldn't think I'd be walking around the street with something that says balls on my chest, but it's yeah, you've got t-shirts, there's hoodies, shorts, you name it, and yeah, like all the guys love repping it, and it's really comfortable, and it's all organic and all that kind of that great stuff for the environment, which is really good as well. So, and some of it looks pretty good, if I say so myself, especially the t-shirt that I model. So
yeah. Cool. So just moving on a little bit, just you mentioned you've been to different places for dips and stuff. Is there a sort of community outside of Edinburgh and Scotland as well, or is it mainly just Edinburgh that you're aware of? Or
so there's always been kind of the groups anyway, cold water groups. There's various different ones around Edinburgh. There's sort of dedicated mental health groups at me at South Queensferry. There's obviously historically there have always been a lot of women's groups, and that's kind of one of the things who Mark Miller, who started the group, he realized that there wasn't a real opportunity for a community of men to meet and to do this, so he looked to start it. So from that, we're well aware of kind of other groups that are now starting. There's loads of groups down south, and now we've got kind of groups start up in the likes of Aberdeen, which is started by one of the guys who was with us for a while, and he's moved up there with work. So he started up there, and obviously we've got likes of Dundee, and there's Glasgow, and just loads of different groups. And I think if you search for it on Facebook, you'll find something, and I'm now a part of loads of different groups, and just keeping an eye out for different spots that we can find and take day trips and just be like, this place looks amazing, we need to go, kind of thing.
Nice. And where's been your favourite place? Maybe outside of Portobello, because obviously your home patch is always your favourite. Where's been your sort of favourite place to go to?
It's tricky because I tried kind of before I joined the group last year. My wife and I were away on Barra and various places, Western Isles. So I tried a little bit dipping myself, which is obviously like the turquoise waters and absolutely pristine sands. And I think if I'd kind of had the experience that I have now back then, I would have been right in and living it up. But I think I was a little bit hesitant before. But for me, one that I went to recently in Harlaw up in the Pentlands. I've been to Harlaw so many times in my life. I take the dog there. I've gone for walks, you name it. But I'd never gone for a dip until a couple of weeks back with a few friends on a Sunday evening. It was spur of the moment message, who fancies it, and we went along. And I think a huge part of the sort of that makes a dip is the company that are there and the sort of chat. And it was, just like fish were jumping around, and we had one of the dogs that were like running about at the beach and barking away, and it wasn't necessarily calm and serenity, but it was just like everybody had this huge smile on their face the whole time and walked away. And you get that huge buzz, and you say, right, see you during the week, and then you go away and you're like, right, I've benefited so much from that.
Brilliant. Well, it's good to hear, and I will keep my promise. When I finally have a free time, I'll reach out to you, reach out to the group, and I'll come along and get this rig out and
definitely. I'll lend you a pair of budgies as well. You can squeeze into them.
Oh dear. Well, I'll say no comment on a Monday morning, I think, to that one. But yeah, no, it sounds excellent. So if anyone's wanting to get in touch with that, or is I'm going to sound like after an episode of Brookside here, if anyone's affected by any of the things you've heard in this episode, then feel free to get in touch and with the Edinburgh Blueballs and things like that, and I'm sure the guys will point you in the right direction. And as John said, it's for everyone. So get in touch. I mean, I know what you're saying about the shyness of it all. I mean, from the first time I was at Forrester's, my first game, I remember asking you what the policy on showering was when the physio was there, and being quite rather bashful. So once you get over that, though, you'll make friends for life, like I have through Forrester's, and John has through Edinburgh Blueballs. So yeah, that sounds super positive stuff, and I'm glad that you seem to be, I don't want to say coming out the other side of it, but that's maybe the right way to put it. But I'm glad that you found something that's really benefiting you, John.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
No, before I get all gushy about how you welcomed me into Forrester and all this crap and all this sort of stuff.
See the tears rolling down.
Yeah. So I'm sure I will have you on again, John, for maybe talking more about this. Maybe after the first time I go in the pool to see a review of how I got on. But is there anyone you want to give a shout out to on this one that we can sort of blackmail them into listening?
I think just anyone who's perhaps thinking about it or is looking to make those positive changes. Like I said, for me, I've often sort of said now it's one of the best decisions that I've made in my life, and it's benefited me in so many ways. Like I say, mentally, physically, and being able to meet like-minded men and people, and having the community and having the support that a lot of us don't often have, kind of, especially in sort of adult grown-up lives. It's good to have that to kind of to fall back on, and to not necessarily always need to have those conversations, but to know that someone's there, an ear to listen if you do need them. So I think a shout out to all the Edinburgh Blueballs, and especially to Mark Miller for starting the group. And anyone is welcome at any time. It really is fantastic.
Brilliant. Well, thanks so much for coming on. And as I say, no doubt I'll have you back on talking about this, and maybe even some ruggers as well.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks again for having me.
Cheers.
Big thanks to John for that. Very honest, very insightful, as I said at the top of the podcast, but mostly refreshing to hear someone who comes from a rugby background just being so honest about their mental health. Also refreshing to hear how Edinburgh Blueballs has made his life better, and it could be something that could make your life better as well. So if you're interested in Edinburgh Blueballs, I'm going to post the link with the podcast description. I'll be back with a podcast soon. I'm hoping to review some of the NFL games in London that I'm attending, as well as finally ticking off a Leyton Orient trip from the list. So please come back if that interests you. If it doesn't, then of course there may be other stuff that interests you. So thank you to anyone who's listened to this, whatever your reason for listening to this. I hope you found this interesting, and by all means leave a review, get in touch on Facebook, Twitter or otherwise, and we look forward to hearing from you further. Thank you.